Democratic Party's hypocrisy. You look at the Clintons. I mean, Bill Clinton provided IMF loans to Russia.
Oh, yeah.
Under Yeltsin, and those IMF loans was found by the U.S. Congress under people like former Congressman Gerald Solomon, who's a Republican from New York, a good Republican, and he discovered that IMF money, U.S. dollars provided by IMF loans, actually was being funneled to Russia's SVR, foreign espionage agents in the United States, including the somewhat high-level CIA mole, Aldrich Ames.
Unbelievable.
Which was, of course, Russia's, one of their infamous, at least known moles within the CIA.
Mm-hmm.
So when we look at the Democratic fingerprints, it really is the pot calling the kettle black.
Yes, it is.
We do know that the Trump organization did try, like most international businessmen, to do non-strategic business with the Russians.
That's right.
But really, nothing ever panned out.
Right.
Some of his advisors had ties to
That's right. They were business folks. They were business folks. But, of course, the mainstream media and a lot of these congressmen on the left don't say anything of the sort. They don't even try to bridge that parallel. They just try to put this info out in the minds of Americans that don't think for themselves. And by the way, the attention span for a lot of folks, they don't remember what happened 2 years ago, 5, 10 years ago with other campaigns, other presidents. They don't care. What they care about is what the CNN commentators are saying. And, there's got to be collusion. Oh, yeah, I knew Donald Trump won. There was somehow that Vladimir, he's behind all of this.
Well, yeah, and that's the crazy thing, because we know, and we've talked about it, I know you've talked about it many times on the show, I've written about it as well. I mean, when you look at the Democratic Party, virtually all the Democrats, with the exception of maybe 3 or 4 in the U.S. Senate, voted to give permanent normal trade relations with Russian Federation under Vladimir Putin, even though we knew that they were an adversary of the United States. And this was an effort that was spearheaded by then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton and the former President Barack Obama. We also know that Secretary of State Clinton also gave the go-ahead, her positive input to the Committee on Foreign Investments in the United States, which is the regulatory body that governs things like foreign acquisitions of American corporations or properties. And, she gave positive input into Uranium One, the Russian company, control over American and Canadian uranium production, too, as well. And, of course, mysteriously, she ends up in Moscow making speeches in the Russian Federation before Russian business audiences. And we know Russian business is really more or less an arm of Putin's state.
Yeah.
And we know from the changes in the Soviet Union to the Russian Federation that a number of these Russian oligarchs represented, quote, the invisible party economy, and that's a Soviet document, quote, of Communist Party capitalists who basically relabeled themselves all of a sudden as believers in capitalism. So really, she was cooperating with indirect arms of Russian foreign policy.
Well, and yes, uranium. She was the one that negotiated the deal with the uranium, and you know how important uranium is to our reactors that actually power our country.
And nuclear weapons, too, as well.
Yes.
Which, of course, President Obama and Secretary
That's right.
Clinton and Kerry also further reduced. We know that in the New START Treaty.
Yes.
So, it's really the classic pot calling the kettle black. And, Trump's positions on Russia are very interesting. In about 2 or 3 of his books, since written in 2000 and then 2015, I mean, he did indicate that Russia and China were major adversaries or geopolitical issues facing the United States. He also called Russia, in fact, in the year 2000, a nuclear Walmart that proliferated weapons to a variety of anti-American governments.
Interesting way of putting it.
At the time. And even if we know, yes, his books are ghostwritten, but we also know from news reports that he does go through these books and he edits this. I mean, this is Donald Trump. He's not going to let things slip his fingers. So these are indeed his thoughts. These were his concerns. I think he has to balance, in my opinion, his personal beliefs and personal views on how the United States should conduct policy when he was a private citizen versus keeping his business afloat and pursuing business opportunities both domestically and internationally. So, again, I say shame on the Democrats. And, the clip that you just played, a little segue of Hillary Clinton playing the identity politics card, and as long as the Democrats continue to do that, they're probably going to reinsure a Republican victory. So I wanted to throw my comment because I know you played
you heard it.
A clip of Hillary Clinton.
I can't put anything past you, Nevin.
No, you can't. You can't. I'm always watching. I'm always listening.
Nice. I see. And if it wasn't for you, you keep me accountable. And so people don't know this, but you in real time, you'll Facebook me, you'll text me or whatever, and you'll plant some information. But you said something yesterday that I thought was quite interesting, and I don't want to steal all your thunder, but and I'm glad. Because I held and I restrained myself because I so much wanted to say what you said, but regarding Chuck and Trump with, what did you say? Just go ahead and let our audience know.
Really, when it comes down to it, let's back up for a minute. I think that Trump is Chuck without the beard. And I know that's kind of a...
No, you're right on. You're right on.
Because really, when you look at, I've been trying to really grapple with these different debates with trade, with the healthcare and others, and I think Trump is premature. I think his election as president, even though I voted for him in the primary and the general election, was premature. Mm-hmm. Because Trump at heart is Chuck without the beard.
Yeah, yes.
From the eastern seaboard as opposed to the Midwest.
Now, Chuck Harder, we're mentioning, the former host of this broadcast, like for decades was on the air and very well known, but until Hillbilly chased him off with an 18-year audit and defamed him. But Chuck Harder, and you can learn more about Chuck Harder, Harder, not Carter, but Harder. And you can read the 18-year audit with WorldNet Daily. It'll just put Chuck Harder in Google /silenced, and you can read all about it. But anyway, continue.
Yes. So the reason why I say that is when you look at Trump's positions, his interviews ever since the 1980s, he's really not an ideologue. He's not a leftist. He's not a Reagan-style conservative that preaches undiluted free markets and free trade, and government is always the problem under every circumstance. And he's not a leftist because he doesn't believe in a completely socialized or communized economy where the state basically commands the economy and the political system. He is more, I would say, a hybrid of nationalism and a moderate populism with some conservative and some light social democratic or socialist beliefs. When you look at his positions regarding trade, when you look at his positions regarding the corruption in Washington, D.C., more because of the special interests, including that of the Republican Party, when you look at his views on health care, which is similar to Chuck's view, in the sense that Chuck, if I remember correctly from his book, Will We Ever Learn, did call for somewhat of a localized version of single payer, and Trump even defended single payer, as you even played a clip of Trump, and we was debating Ted Cruz, if I remember specifically at the debate, where they were giving Trump a hard time for his defense of single payer. And Trump defended single payer as working, in his view, rather well in Canada as well as in the UK. So, you look at that, you look at always his concerns about the American infrastructure. Being from New York, I know that firsthand. Like Donald Trump being from New York, I know that firsthand.
Oh, yeah.
And all these other different issues, Trump is more like a Teddy Roosevelt, a Dwight Eisenhower, and an Alexander Hamilton with touches of, let's say, a Barry Goldwater combined.
Interesting.
He's a very much an amalgam of populism and nationalism, which is really what Chuck had represented both in his book.
Big time. And a lot of people just didn't understand it because, with nationalism, like, well, you alienate, the free traders, and it really pisses them off because then you say, well, you put this guy in, and then we're going to lock ourselves down, and then we're not going to make any money, and we're not going to be as prosperous, and we're not going to be able to do the things we used to do with a guy like that.
Well, sure, but part of the problem is that even though the Republicans are somewhat going along with him, they intellectually do not really at heart believe in his viewpoints. These are people like a Paul Ryan or Mitch McConnell or Ted Cruz and others. They believe in this sort of borderless sort of one-world economy, essentially, and they sup that, they drink that from the well of classical liberal globalism, libertarianism.
Okay, libertarianism, you're talking about the Freedom Caucus that just kind of stopped Trump's bill. Those people?
Well, them and them too. The only Freedom Caucus member that I'm aware of who is somewhat of a protectionist nationalist is Congressman Mo Brooks of Alabama, and he's good on some issues. But I basically say virtually three-quarters of the House of Representatives and virtually the entire Senate Republican elected office holders, they have that view. These are people who generally feel that we don't have an infrastructure problem, that free trade is good. Many of them were pushing for the Trans-Pacific Partnership. And the only reason why that they put the brakes on that is because there was a popular referendum against free trade and unlimited corporate control of our government. Now, I think the Republicans, unfortunately what has happened is the Republican Party and the movement conservatives, I would argue, are more of an albatross on Trump's neck.
I believe that.
Why? Because his heart is not in this sort of Reagan-style conservatism. When you juxtapose what Trump has called for versus...
We'll be back. Nevin Gusack when we continue.
We'll help you survive this thing called life. We're for the people. For the people. For the people. For the people is there.
The internet is a big place, but 123 Ready TV has made it easy to start enjoying all of the current movies you enjoy and those movie classics. What if I told you that you could start streaming everything now and all the latest movies for just $19.99? And it's a one-time charge, not monthly. 123 Ready TV is a media app that you can have on your PC or your Android phone. You see, this app allows you to stream movies and TV shows, weather, and anything you already have on your PC or your phone or on the internet. Plus, no commercials. Find out why so many people are using this amazing media player. Start saving money and start enjoying all your favorite TV shows now and movies for just a one-time payment of $19.99. To get yours, go to forthepeopleshow.com. That's forthepeopleshow.com and click on the store page for your 123 Ready TV. For the People is on the air for you. Each day we strive to tell it to you straight, not watered down, so you can know what's going on each day. Our show is different from many of the others on air. We're not afraid of the PC police, and we explain our position, at the same time understanding the left's position and what we can do to further a conservative agenda for America. For the People is listener-supported and relies on listeners like you to help us get the word out. So, if you like what we do and want to help For the People, sign up today at our website at forthepeopleshow.com. That's forthepeopleshow.com. Your support allows us to report the news fearlessly and guarantees our survival on the air. As a thank you, we'll send you our monthly newsletter with commentary and money-saving tips. Can we count on your support? Thank you for helping America. To become a For the People member, log on to forthepeopleshow.com. Now,